welcome back. You're watching Market Fatafat on ET now. A wrap of all the stocks and movers and shakers that you need to watch out for today in trade. I'm Mubina Kupasi, and today, after that neat uptick that we saw for the last two trading sessions, the market seemed to be just about taking it easy. We have rebounded from the day's low, no doubt, but now we are more or less flat with a bit of negative seen on the screen. The broader markets, meantime, are certainly being able to hold on very, very smartly. But of course, this is the show where we flag off individual stocks, and to do that, today we have with us Siddharth Bhamre, Soumya Sharma on the technicals, Kunal Bothra and Swati Hotkar from Nirmal Bang as well joining in. Thanks to all of you and good morning. Let's start off first with Kotak Bank, undoubtedly a big newsmaker, a big mover and the top nifty loser. Soumya, what's the news here?
Yeah, hi. Mubina. So when we what we gather from the sources, ING is looking to sell 3% stake in the company. This is now, as of now, we're not sure of it. This is we're confirming for now, and this is in range of the price ranges of 1,125 to 1,250 crores via block deal. So let's see what exactly the quantum of this stake sale is, and supposedly what we also gathering is this is at a 3 to 5% discount to today's closing price. Well, we'll keep you updated on this front.
All right, so for now 3.8% lower, biggest nifty loser. Kunal, you have a buy on Griha Finance. Why is that?
So yeah, I think it's a mid-cap stock. The stock has been forming a bullish flag pattern on the daily charts, and it's broken out of that pattern today. And I believe that that's a substantial indication enough that the stock could find decent momentum. So Griha Finance is a buy. In that regards, targets of at least 275 and stop loss at 242.
Okay, so that's the strategy on Griha Finance. IDBI Bank, meantime, is another stock we are flagging off, down by more than 2%. Swati, what would you advise here? Swati, if you can talk about IDBI Bank, more than 2.5% of losses there. Okay, I don't think she's getting our audio, but essentially Swati has advised that it's trading above the 200 DMA of 56 rupees, and it can rally till 63 if it sustains about this level. I think for now IDBI is at 44 rupees, so we'll just check on that with her once we reconnect. Okay, Axis Bank, meantime, is the other big banking newsmaker. It's planning to take an acquisition route, and this in an effort to step up its role in insurance. So essentially it wants to pick up a stake in an insurer this year. Remember, it's already holding a 2% stake in Max Life, so perhaps we could see some news flow over there. There is a possibility that, at least as per ET reports, that Axis may up their stake in Max Life, which is just at about 2% at this point of time. The stock price momentum, however, is just about flattish at 697 rupees, but this is certainly an interesting news development from the banking major. Siddharth, REC, we have been seeing a lot of buying come by in this counter recently. Today as well, it's higher.
Well, yes, and what is different today, Mubina, is that stock has breached its resistance zone of 127, 130. In last few months, couple of times stock did come to this range, and then there was substantial retracement towards lower levels of 110 or so. And now, as we speak, it is decisively breaking that resistance zone, which is important development for the price. And to club with that, we are seeing that there is formation of long position in futures. So this breakout seems to be real and durable.
All right, so REC is higher by 2.8%. Another stock where we are seeing some momentum come by is Piramal Enterprises. Kunal, quite a decent bounce back seen in the last couple of weeks.
Absolutely, Mubina, and this is one of the few. This has been one of the few sectors which has primarily shown signs of good bottom formation process. At least in the very near term, the stocks have been showing some good price patterns, volume patterns as well. Piramal Enterprise, the stock was trading below its 50 DMA. It's managed to break out of the 50 DMA today. Also, cluster of swing resistances being breached in that process. So that's a buy. 2400 as a positional target and stop loss at 2180.
Okay, so that is the latest coming in on Piramal Enterprises. Kunal has a buy over here. Take a look at GMR Infra. It looks like Singapore's GIC and Japanese diversified conglomerate, that's Mitsubishi, are in talks with GMR Infra to buy a minority stake in the airport holding company. This is as per reports. And of course, even the Turner joint venture signed a concession pact for a new freight airport. So that as well is an interesting development coming in. But of course, I think more interesting is what they are doing with the airport business. GMR Infra may be selling its minority stake in the airport holding company. Remember, for the last couple of years, it's made an effort to diversify its airport company, including via an IPO. The stock price is higher by 1.9%, and of course, not to mention, it would go a long way in even servicing the debt. Okay, moving on, HCL Info. Swati is a stock we don't talk about very often, but we are seeing a 13% up move today. So what would you advise here?
See, from the last few months, we are just witnessing a continuous selling pressure in this particular counter, just trading below all the important moving averages. Now, after it has just been, we have seen that from last 2 to 3 weeks, we have seen a consolidation between 18 to 16 odd levels, and then we have seen a breakout of that 18 levels with the decent volume. So, I believe this rally is likely to be a pullback rally to be continued at least minimum 22 rupees, which comes to a resistance provided by its 50 days moving average. So, any move above up to 22 to 24 levels, one should just exit on every right strategy. As of now, at the current levels, I am not initiating any long positions.
Okay, so that's the view coming in on an HCL Info. It's higher by 12%. Soumya, let's talk about DHFL. More developments when it comes to the stake sale process.
Yes, Mubina. Well, the company has entered into a share purchase agreement for proposed transaction to divest its stake in DHFL Pramerica Asset Managers to PGLH of Delaware. Well, company was holding 17.12% stake in DHFL Pramerica, and its subsidiary was holding 32.88%. Subsidiary was DHFL Advisory and Investments Private Limited. Well, it has informed the exchanges that it has sold its stake in that company.
All right, DHFL is higher by 2.9%. Siddharth, let's talk about Ashok Leyland. Stock that's been battered out of shape, no doubt. It's sub the 100 rupee mark. But what are you observing off late in the way the stock's been moving?
So as you pointed out, the stock is beating down, and the trend is downward. But now we are seeing base building exercise around the 78-80 levels. And why I'm saying that, Mubina, if you remember the result day, the stock gave up a substantial move, 10% intraday move, closed up by 6%, then again fell. So now trend is like it was correcting after good news also, but it didn't breach its recent lows, which was formed on that particular day. And now again we are seeing some signs of bounce back. I'm not saying that the trend is changing, but Ashok Leyland is in a process where it is forming a base around this 78-80 odd levels, and some long accumulation is seen. Needless to mention that there are a lot of short positions outstanding in it, and if stock moves above say 85-86, I think that would compel a lot of short traders to cover their position.
Okay, 1.5% today higher, and yes, of course, do remember was the third quarter numbers. We had seen quite a spike come by in the stock. Kunal, you have a buy on Sun TV too. Why is that?
So, the stock was going through a downward trending process, and I think from 2018 start, when the stock was at 1050, 1060 levels, from there on there was this downward sloping trend line channel. Now, after yesterday's move on the weekly charts, and assuming a confirmation that the stock closes at those 580 plus levels, it could confirm a breakout of this downward sloping channel, and that should be substantial proof enough that the stock is coming out of a big correction. So Sun TV is a buy in that regards. I have short-term targets of 625, 630 levels, but I'm pretty sure that the stock is actually bottomed out. The stock could move up substantially higher from those levels as well. So short-term targets 620 plus and stop loss at 575.
Okay, so Kunal's quite confident and bullish on Sun TV. He has a buy, and in fact, he's watching out for a target of 620 rupees. Okay, the next stock we want to flag off is Just Dial, for the simple reason that yesterday we did see quite a spike come by in the way the stock moved yesterday. So gaining momentum witnessed over there, but that I think is being at least partially sold into 4.2% lower. It's just about testing its 200 DMA. But do remember, this is a stock that has certainly been in the grip of the bears. It's mostly just moved sideways for the most part of the last 6 odd months. And it's really not done much in terms of wealth creation or anything like that for traders. Yesterday as well, the spike is more or less being sold into. Now it's at a level of about 500 odd rupees. But yeah, interesting price momentum witnessed over here, at least in the last 3 to 4 trading sessions. So that's just at a level of about 500 rupees, and it's snapping 3-day gaining momentum. Okay, stock number 13 then, Reliance Power. Swati, the entire ADAG pack today is buzzing and how today in trade. But this is the kind of volatility we've seen, in all these ADAG names. So what would be a strategy you'd recommend?
See, as of now, all the ADAG packs, the overall the view is the bearish to the cautious itself. In this month itself, the R power we have seen that it's down more than 55% on the basis of the news itself. Upside, I believe the downside, it has a good support at 10 rupees odd level. So any movement below 10 rupees, and again the selling pressure likely to be intensified, which might take a stocks towards a single digit also up to 6 to 7 levels. Pullback rally up to 13-14 rupees is possible. So I will suggest any pullback rally towards 13 to 14, one should just exit from this stock.
Okay, so that's a Reliance Power for you. She's, of course, not surprisingly a bit cautious. Soumya, BEL, interesting news over there in light of the Aero show going on.
Yeah, the company has signed a memorandum of understanding with JSR Dynamics. Well, it is a Nagpur-based startup company for manufacturing and sale of glide weapons and lightweight cruise missiles. Well, that's what's keeping the stock buoyant today.
Okay, so that's BEL for you. Siddharth, let's talk about Maruti. What have you been observing over there?
Well, some longs observed here, Mubina, in this counter, and we are seeing some takers. Now, auto space, I spoke about Ashok Leyland also, and you know that it's a beaten down space. What has happened that in between, that's last month, Maruti gave a decent up move, and then in I'll say after 7th, 8th of Feb, it started correcting. Now that correction is has halted around 61.8% retracement of the previous up move. Generally, this level acts as a support, and from there, if you're seeing stock moving higher and forming long position, that means there are some takers, even though, you know, fundamental outlook remains a bit negative.
Alright, so that's the view coming in on Maruti Suzuki. We'll do one thing, we'll take a quick breather right here on Market Fatafat, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, the countdown will continue. Okay, welcome back. You're watching Market Fatafat, where we are flagging off the big movers and shakers today in trade, and one such mover is HCL Tech. The technology space certainly has been a buzz for the last couple of months, in fact. Kunal, what are you observing in HCL Tech?
So many of these IT stocks, they are looking, many of these stocks are consolidating rather, from the large cap space. HCL Tech is forming a bullish flag pattern on the daily charts, and such kind of patterns, generally indicate that the uptrend is intact, and the periods of consolidation are more of time and price consolidation. I believe HCL Tech could also, start to rise up from current levels as well. 1100 should be an immediate target on the short-term basis, and stop loss to be kept at 1044.
Okay, that's HCL Tech today as well. It's higher by about 1.25%. Mahanagar Gas, meantime, Macquarie has actually initiated coverage on this counter with a neutral stance and a target price of 800 rupees. So that's a 75 rupee downtick that they are perhaps expecting. They do believe that the premium margins in this counter are likely to sustain. However, they are preferring an Indraprastha Gas over a Mahanagar Gas. Do remember, both these counters had taken quite a beating post that report with respect to the government considering taking away the subsidy. But yeah, for now, Macquarie prefers IG, and that's perhaps the reason why you are seeing a bit of sluggishness creep into the stock price of Mahanagar Gas. Swati, let's talk about BEML. It's a mover and shaker today in trade, 4% higher. What are you observing?
Yes, definitely this counter is doing really well from the last 4 to 5 trading session. Today it has given a breakout of its 200-day moving average, which comes to at around 800 odd levels. So really it's doing very well along with the volumes. I believe this rally is likely to be take forward towards at least 850 to 860 odd levels. So one can definitely take a long positions at the current level for a target of 850 with a stop loss of 800 rupees on a downside.
Okay, yes, it certainly is seeing a lot of momentum, and Swati has a buyer. So, the energy space has been a buzz. Oil India, ONGC have been big movers. What's the news here?
Well, talking about the ONGC stocks, well, the government has asked both ONGC and Oil India to sell 66 fields to private players, as it is bringing in a new policy to boost domestic production and cut the imports. So of the total 184 fields that they hold, they've been allowed to retain around 52 fields, of which 49 are owned by ONGC and 3 are owned by Oil India.
All right, 1.6% higher for an ONGC. Siddharth, let's talk about Yes Bank. Today it's a big gainer in trade. What are you observing?
Well, 1 or 2% move for Yes Bank. Off late, if you see the kind of move it shows, is not a big move, Mubina, but then 220 to 230, that has been the resistance zone after that big crack which we saw in Yes Bank. Stock is trying to build its base around this 200 mark. A lot of our chartists have been talking about 195, 200 as a support zone. And what we are observing in derivatives market now is that there's some sort of long accumulation which is going on. So if this 220, 230 mark goes, then one can confidently say that the base building exercise by Yes Bank is done and stock is poised for further upside.
Okay, 2% higher for Yes Bank in trade now at close to level of 220 rupees. Kunal, Godfrey Phillips, while it's come off quite a bit, of course, from the 1,000 rupee odd level that it was trading at, I think we're seeing some momentum creep in, especially in the last 5 days. So what would you make of the movement seen here?
So yeah, the stock is now trying to come back into that momentum zone. The stock had rallied quite sharply, quite swiftly from 825 levels to almost 985, 995. In the last leg of rally. Then there was a phase of correction or more of a retracement where the indicators cooled off. The prices also followed a similar trajectory. But now I believe that the stock and momentum and indicators are coming back into that momentum zone. And generally, this kind of a setup is a very bullish setup on the stock price. I would expect that the stock could rally substantially from current levels as well. 935 to 945 could be a near-term target range, and stop loss at 885.
All right, so that's the view coming in on a Godfrey Phillips. Kunal has a buyer and he's watching out for a target of 935 rupees. SPI, meantime, UBS seems to be quite bullish. They have upgraded the counter from a neutral to a buy. And currently the stock price is seeing some bit of gaining momentum. They believe that it's a strong retail franchise that will drive growth for SBI. So this one is gaining today in trade, the biggest bank in India, and UBS has upgraded it to a buy. Okay, let's talk about Reliance Communications. And Swati, again from the ADAG pack, year 2, you have a cautious view?
Yes, definitely. On all the ADG packs, I have a cautious to bearish view as of now. Even RCOM is not doing really well. Upside, I believe those pullback rallies likely to be just continue only for a few days as such. Up to 8, 9 to 10 levels, we can see the pullback rally. Downside, it has a very strong support at 5.5 to 6 levels. So any movement below the 610, again, we might see the selling pressure likely to be intensified. So on every rise, definitely the stocks are likely to be sell on every rise.
Okay, so that's RCOM. Today, of course, like I said, the ADAG pack is definitely gaining and seeing a lot of momentum. But of course, retail investors should note all the problems surrounding the ADAG pack. And of course, the entire issue of promoter debt that has become a big issue for a lot of these names. Soumya, Hinduja Global, what's the news over here?
Well, moving on, the stock has been buzzing and has gained by over 4.4%, well, on back of a bulk deal. Fidelity Funds, Asian smaller companies pool bought 2.76 lakh shares in the company, which is keeping the stock in the gaining momentum.
Okay, so that's the view coming in on Hinduja Global. It's actually news rather, where Fidelity Funds has purchased about 2.8 lakh shares, and on the back of that we are seeing quite a bit of gaining momentum. So Siddharth, let's talk about Arvind. We did have Manas saying that this is a sell call for him. You too, I think, are flagging of some not so bullish news here.
Well, it's just an update that stock is trading at lowest level since July 2014, Mubina, and we are seeing fresh formation of short positions. So derivatives data is in line with what Manas gave an opinion to you.
Okay, 3.4% lower, in fact. Arvind, lowest level since July 2014. Kunal, BPCL, you have a buyer, and we have seen a lot of momentum come by in these OMC names. So what's the reason for the buyer?
So surprisingly, even with crude oil prices rising, many of these stocks, OMCs, they are seeing a divergent kind of a trend. Generally, you expect on crude oil prices rise, these stocks to fall, but you're seeing a different trend altogether. Now, in the price patterns for BPCL particularly, there is also an inverse head and shoulder pattern, which has which is getting formed for the stock price, and net that should act as a positive for the stock. Would suggest a buy with a target of 355 and stop loss to be kept at 335.
All right. Andhra Bank, meantime, the board is going to consider fundraising in the 26th Feb meet. Do remember that most of these PSU banking names have been in focus on the back of the recapitalization notice, and now Andhra Bank is going to be raising funds as well. So certainly banks are in the fundraising mode at this point of time. But with that, unfortunately, we are completely out of time. So Swati, Siddharth, Kunal, thanks so much for joining in. To you, Swati, to you as well for giving in your technical opinions. And of course, stay tuned for Markets at Noon, which will come right up after this short break.